What's up, metal and heavy music fans? This is Chris from Metal Trenches, and it's time for another edition of Trench Talk. I've got a great episode for you today. This time I'm talking to Fred from AMAHIRU. AMAHIRU is a new band that's a collaboration between several different members from established bands. Fred's been in Dragonforce, he's in Creator. It's also a collaboration between SAKI from Mary's Blood, which is a Japanese power metal and heavy metal band. And then you've also got members from Epica and Fear Factory. It's a great combination of hard rock, heavy metal, just shred, thrash, got a little bit of everything for everybody, and it's a really great band, so definitely something you're going to want to hear. But before I get to that, please do subscribe to our channel on YouTube, BitChute, Spotify, pretty much anywhere you get podcasts. All right, let's go on to the episode. This is Chris from Metal Trenches. I'm talking to Fred from AMAHIRU. Your debut comes out on this Friday, on November 27th.
Yes.
And I know a lot of other interviews have kind of gone through the history of the band already, so I wanted to start off by saying, for anybody that hasn't heard the band yet, how would you describe the sound in one sentence?
In one sentence, it's let me try to put that in one sentence. It's a mix of hard rock and heavy metal, and with a lot of other ingredients, with quite a positive vibe, which is needed right now in these difficult times. It's a long sentence, but it's
No,
one
I think
sentence.
that's perfect for a sentence. That kind of nails the styles. And one of the things that I love about the album, having been able to listen to the whole thing, is just how many genres you kind of touch upon. You really move between hard rock, power, heavy metal, thrash, and there's a lot of crossover appeal, which I think is great.
Well, thank you very much. But when you say power metal, I guess I hope you refer to the first song, Innocent, which does sound a bit like, in terms of riffing, sounds a bit like Pantera on the album Power Metal, and also Cowboys from Hell. And that used to be called power metal, and that's the kind of power metal I like. Now, the fact that obviously I've been playing with, I've been in Dragonforce for so many years, and that's what, I guess that's what you were talking about, that sort of power metal. This
Yeah,
probably touches of that. That's probably touches of that, but one of the things that we wanted with Saki, the other guitar player, and she's from Japan, it was to do something different than what we were doing with our bands. So at the time I was still with Dragonforce, and I said, I don't want to do anything that is, remotely close to power metal. But I guess some of the songs are, in a way, maybe, Lucky Star, or possibly the song Vanguard, which was written mostly by Saki. I guess indeed there's a lot of touches from other genres, and the reason was because when I was in Dragonforce, I had to write music, and within limitations, because it's called Dragonforce. That means you kind of have to do certain things, and people expect
it has a
certain
certain connotation.
things. Yeah. And so here I was just like, hey, freedom. I can do what I want. So I guess that's why we threw everything on the table, and made sure that it was not just like completely random, and that's why it's so diverse, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking power metal kind of like you said, where it's the earlier sound kind of. I think there's kind of a negative connotation with modern power metal where it's kind of cheesy and you have a certain, it's very catchy riffs, but you hear the vocals and you're like, all right, this is a love or hate type thing for some people. But the
Yeah.
earlier power metal to me has a lot of more broader appeal than some of it does now. And I think a lot of the Japanese influence that I've heard from Japanese bands that play that seem like they go for that earlier sound.
Yeah. It's more, in a way, I think it's what would be the word for that? But it's more, somehow more aggressive. Like, even Mary's Blood, I guess they play a sort of power metal, but like the Japanese bands, when they do that, it has like a more aggressive sound in terms of guitars, perhaps, as opposed to all these European bands which are very almost too polished in a way. So yeah, maybe there's a bit of that. I don't know. Power metal has never been my favorite type of metal. So, but I always end up talking about it, so that's fine. It's funny.
I guess you're kind of stuck with that, from all the time in
Yeah,
Dragonforce, since that's kind of
I know,
where
I
they've
know.
been almost pigeonholed, if you say. I mean, they always did more than that,
Yeah,
but that's what
but I
happens,
guess
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I know, I know. It's funny because like there's nothing I can do about it. It's just like I've always been moaning about like I don't like. It's not that I hate power metal. It's fun to talk about it. Like I've got a few albums like that, but it's just simply that I prefer other genres. I prefer listening to thrash or death metal or traditional heavy metal. And yeah, for some reason, I guess I'm good at playing power metal, which is what I've been doing for 14 years now, or had been. Now that I joined Creator, I'm finally more in my element or zone or how or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, no, I mean in all seriousness, this is not. I don't hate the genre. It's just I prefer other kinds of metal.
Yeah, you've had a busy year because the Loud Blast album also comes out on Friday, right?
Yes, yes, indeed. I mean, it's just like it's funny that also the video, the first Loud Blast video came out the same day as the second AMAHIRU video as well. So it's like even though the two bands have nothing to do, in terms of style, I guess for some reason because it's not even the same label, but for some reason it's just like everything's happening at the same time. So indeed, it's coming out this Friday and yeah, no, it's been busy. I've been doing that, and the summer I spent the summer working on a creator. So I went to Germany 2 weeks per month for 4 months. So in July, August, September, and
Was that when the
October.
lockdowns kind of eased up a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. So we were allowed to travel, but it was just like changing all the time. So every time I was going to Germany, I was like, okay, so now what sort of paperwork will I have to fill in and what's going on? And no one really knew. Like you would ask the flight attendant, and they were like, you would ask them, so do I need to give you that paper, or can I just like give it that? And they're like, that I don't know. It changed from a day to another. And turns out the last two trips I did there, they were sort of forcing you to stay home until you got the results from the test that you had to pass once you landed in Germany. So I had that thing up my nose twice. So I'm sort of an expert now.
I'm up to
But yeah,
four.
yeah. So
It never gets any better.
oh, you got four. That's cool. Wow. Okay, respect. The first one was okay. Like the first one was just like sort of weird and just like you feel almost I don't know. I don't want to say that lightly, but raped. Like the thing goes
That's how the first
goes
one
to
felt for
place.
me.
Yeah, it goes to places that's never been touched before. So I was like, ooh, okay, risky. But so it goes there, and it just doesn't hurt, but it's like very unpleasant. And then the second time, I was a bit like, yeah, I've been there. Come on, big boy, show me what you got. I know that. But for some reason, it just he did it wrongly. So he went in the first nostril, and I was like, yeah. And then he went in the second one, and I heard like a like a cracking sound, and that was really painful, that one. But okay, no, I mean digressing. Yeah, so I've been working on Creator this summer, and I'm also busy right now working on Sinsanum stuff. So it's been, even though it's a very strange year for everybody, and certainly for me, because my father passed away a few weeks ago.
Oh,
So
sorry to
it's
hear
just
that.
like yeah, 2020 is just like a fucked up, strange, really fucking weird year for many, many reasons. But I'm trying to stay as busy and positive as possible.
Yeah, staying focused on music, I found that as well. Doing music reviews and interviews, it really takes your mind off of everything that's happening in the world. And at least for me, having a day job as well, it's a nice break from, otherwise I would just be doing my day job for like 14 hours because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Where about do you live in the US?
So I'm near Baltimore, which is between kind of
Yeah,
in
Baltimore. Yeah,
Baltimore,
yeah.
and I'm sure you've toured in Baltimore a decent amount.
Yeah, yeah. We've been there a few times. I can't remember the name of the venue, but there's a venue that we played a few times. One was we went there with Dragonforce, and then they had to close the venue because there were some riots. Fuck, what's the name of the
Could
venue?
be Baltimore Soundstage or Rams Head Live.
Maybe Soundstage, possibly.
Yeah, I think
I don't
that's where
know.
most of the metal shows have been in recent years, and now we're waiting to see what'll still be open when shows can happen again.
Yeah, it's the same in France. I mean, like many small venues are gonna, close because I mean, there's only like sort of certain shows happening, and definitely not metal shows because how can you have 30% of the crowd and respect like the distances between people when you want to go into a mosh pit? So I've never seen like a mosh pit with like social distancing, so that
That would be
could
weird. It's like air
yeah,
moshing,
yeah.
right? You just kind of point
Yeah,
at
yeah,
each
yeah, yeah.
other
You
and you
just
start
like,
running.
yeah, exactly. Just like sort of air push them, just like, and then air grab them from the floor. I don't know. It's strange. But yeah, yeah. So, I mean, it's difficult times right now, which is why releasing Amahiru, even though it's not like the perfect timing for a band to release an album and not be able to to tour and do things properly. I guess in a way it's good to release positive music for people because it's just like everybody's like the same, sort of stuck home and being like, oh my god, everything sucks. So at least it's maybe I'm trying to look at the bright side of things, and maybe it is actually a good timing to have like such a feel good. I believe it's a feel good album. So to release such an album during those dark times, maybe it is actually quite a good timing after all.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing because I think to me it's aggressive, but it's a bright sound, right? So it makes you happy. You connect with it. The singing is really powerful. To segue off of that, one of the things that I liked about the videos you've done is obviously you did them before the pandemic, but it reminds you of how things were and what things will go back to. So the video for Hours, you're kind of exploring Tokyo with Saki, and for me, having
Uh-huh.
gone to Japan in 2018, it brings back great memories. I recognize buildings, areas that you're
Yeah,
going, and then the other video was a live performance, which goes back to what we'll get back to.
yeah, yeah. It obviously is the same. I'm just looking at those videos. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to go back to Japan because I love going. Going to Japan is it's like my favorite country in the world. Maybe I prefer it to France. It's just the language barrier, makes it difficult
It's
to
tough.
move there.
I haven't found
Yeah,
as much English speaking there as I would expect. You get
yeah,
phrases, but it's hard to communicate sometimes.
yeah. But even that, I mean, I just like I don't expect them to speak. I'm French, so I don't
No,
expect them
absolutely.
to speak. French and I just would love to speak the language. It's just too difficult for me. But I really love that country, and that's why doing Amahiru to me was just like the perfect the perfect thing because I really do love their culture and I love the country, and that video Hours is like a it's like in a way it's like showing my love for the country. So it has that sort of what's the movie called, Lost in Translation vibe to it, but it's
Oh
also a
yeah, that's
nice,
that's true.
yeah, but it's also like a nice postcard of Tokyo for those who've been there, and for those who haven't been, it just shows like a nice side of it, and it's just like, yeah, I guess it shows how much I love the that city, and I guess Saki loves it too because she lives there, so she's lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was listening to another interview that you did yesterday, and you said that the album really came together from a 3-week period of being in Japan. Was that
Mm.
an intensive writing process with Saki? Like, did you spend the majority of your days doing that, or was it kind of her availability dictated what you could do, and then you were free to explore the country?
A bit of both. I mean, we actually started writing songs separately. So, like it was in December 2018. So I was starting, piling up ideas and songs, and she was doing the same, but also being busy with Mary's Blood because she was also, she's also a busy person, and so she was working, doing double duties in a way. And I guess I was piling up more ideas, and I was like, you know what, I think I need to go to Japan, and so we can finalize everything together and write the missing, because we had maybe, I have no idea, I didn't count, but maybe we had 8 songs and we end up with 13 on the album. So I guess some of them we did write on the spot, and most of them we just finalized them there. And she was available most of the time. She had some shows with Mary's Blood, but I took that opportunity to do some clinics for ESP while I was there. So there wasn't that much free time after all. I think there was one day when I went to Download Festival. That's when I went to see Amaranth, and that's when I saw Elise, which I've known for a long time. And then I guess the next day, that's how we discussed it with Saki, and we said, hey, maybe we should ask her to sing on one of our songs. On the first night, and those are true stories. I'm just like not making up to give a reason why people are on the album. But I guess on the first or second night that I was there, Raven were playing in an area of Tokyo called Shinjuku. And I went to see them, and Mike Heller, the drummer, I've known him for a long time. So we just like, hey, oh, cool to see you here. Let's go and have a few drinks. He doesn't drink, so I was drinking for the both of us, which is fine. And I guess that's how actually I thought of him, because technically we were supposed to have Sean Reinert from Cynic on the album, who sadly passed away earlier this year. But he was supposed to play drums on the album, and then due to schedule, because we had like a deadline was pushed, and we were really running out of time, sort of. And he was actually in between moving houses and building his studio and whatnot, so he couldn't commit to make the album. And then I was like, oh my god, who am I going to ask? And then, hey, cool, I just saw Mike a few weeks ago, I'm just going to ask him. So so that time in Tokyo was very useful for many reasons. But yeah, mostly we spent I'd say I stayed there 3 weeks, so that's what, 21 days. We definitely worked 17 days, 8 hours a day, because we asked the Japanese label if we could use one of their rooms in their office. So we built up like a small studio, and we would go there, and so that was cool. They were just like working next door, and we were just like writing music, and we would spend 8 hours a day. And then like I said, she had some shows with Mary's Blood. I went and did some clinics with ESP, and we went out a few times as well, which is why, for example, the song Waves on the album, it's a short instrumental, very mellow, very sweet. It's just because we were really hungover. That's the reason why. So people were just like, oh my god, what are you trying to? It's just like the next day
you still had to
like,
work and get stuff done, but
exactly. So we're just like, oh my god, my head hurts. Yeah, me too. And then she started to play those chords, and I was like, yeah, let's do something soft and sweet. And actually, it was sort of magical. I do remember vividly, writing the songs, and we were just like sort of, feeling like all, wrapped in cotton. Well, being hungover, really, but like in a nice way, not just like sick hungover, sort of like floating and being mellow. So yeah, the time in Japan was very useful in many ways.
it sounds very productive. What was it like working with the Japanese label? Because from what I know of the music industry in Japan, it's very different. They still focus on CDs a lot. I felt like I was going in a time warp when I went into Tower Records in Japan, and it was fantastic. And I know they have a big focus on, live videos, any kind of music videos. Did that differ at all from the labels that you're used to working with in Europe?
Yes and no. I mean, in certain ways, it was definitely different. It's just the way they work, and I guess it's not only in the music business. It's just in general, the way they prepare a strategy, as opposed to I don't know. I mean, it's just my my understanding of things. It's just like in Europe, and probably in the US, I don't know, but at least in Europe or in France, you kind of like, you have a plan. and then you just start, and then if something happens along the way, you just like sort of like, okay, you react at that moment and go like, all right, well then, if we can't go left, let's go right, But I guess Japanese are sort of like pre-planning everything, just like this might go left, and so we will turn right and blah blah. So it takes more time to prepare the whole thing, if that makes sense. So they just like they spend more time, and once it's done, once they say okay go, then everything flows perfectly because they've been preparing all the or something like that. I don't know, but it was definitely different, and just like the certain politics and whatnot. So it was definitely interesting for me on many levels to see how it works, and because I had some some not expectations, but I thought they would be working a certain way, and then I discovered, oh, okay, actually they're working like that, and okay, I didn't know that, blah blah blah. So that was also very interesting on just a business point of view.
Now, did the album come out earlier in Japan? Because I know they do that sometimes, or is it the same release date of Friday for the world?
No, it's Friday. The only country that sucks is France, because we're in lockdown. So actually, the album in France is released next Friday.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
So
Oh
your
well.
your home country is the only one that doesn't get it at the same time.
I know, and you know what? I got a message from because I didn't know that, and then I did an interview for a French magazine, and the guy wrote back and he said, "Oh, apparently the album comes out on the 4th." And I'm like, "Eh? Well, I haven't heard of that." And I sent a message to the label, and they said, "Oh yeah, sorry, there's actually because of the lockdown, we're gonna have to postpone the thing." And I understood, because I'm a very egocentrical Frenchman. I thought they said because France is in lockdown, then the rest of the world will also have the album coming on the 4th. And today I saw a post saying like, oh, the album's coming out in 3 days. And I said, hold on, you guys told me that it was coming out, on the 4th. And they said, no, no, just France, just your beautiful country, but the rest of the world is fine. So I found it funny that I just like assumed that because France is in lockdown, then everybody has to suffer. But no, it's just my country. But
No, you would
yeah,
think that it would be like the rest of Europe, that it would follow like the general like Northern Europe would follow, but
not
I
quite.
guess
I mean,
not.
it's just like, yeah, no, no, no. But it's also because like all the I mean, those lockdown situations are really different from a country to another. You would imagine like what we call Europe would be all united and go like, yeah, okay, there's lockdown here, there's lockdown there. But now it's just like it shows that's one thing that this virus pandemic thing showed, is just like Europe is not exactly as united as you might think, in just in terms of, but it's political. Let's not go there.
No, that's I don't think anyone wants to listen to that necessarily. So,
No.
so transitioning off, I know a lot of the focus of the PR has been between the collaboration of you and Saki, and I know you've talked about that a lot, but I wanted to talk about Archie because Archie was
Yes.
new to me, and from what I see, he's kind of made a name for himself doing vocal covers. I believe he had David Draymond from Disturbed kind of like shouting his name and saying you should pay attention to this guy. How did you come to know him and work with him?
We met through mutual friends, because I do hang out with a lot of musicians. I guess that's my destiny. It's just because yeah, there's a lot of musicians I know, and we have friends in common in UK, in London. And I just that's how I met him, and I heard that he was doing those Disturbed, that he did like a Disturbed cover, like a video type of thing. And I heard that he had a band that it was called Seven Deadly. And I just heard, I was just like, wow, it's an amazing singer, and the guy is cool, and that's what matters the most. Is just it's always fine to work with musicians that are talented, but I guess what's important for me is also to have like a connection on a human level. So that's what because otherwise I could just ask people that are very famous that I never met them before, but ask through managements and labels and blah blah blah. But it's so I mean, so we were when we started the band with Saki, we had that big conversation indeed about like people who would be playing drums, who would be playing keyboards, and that conversation happened with Saki and her management and the label because things went pretty quickly due to our careers in Japan, as opposed to if you meet someone and just like, okay, let's have a band together, okay, and then it
Yeah, I
takes a
guess if
little
they were
while.
pre-planning, they wanted to know up front, like who's in the band, right?
Exactly, exactly. So we were just like, we just basically we Saki and I were like, okay, let's do a band. Then she talked about it with the management, the label that I also been working with Sinsanum and Dragonforce heard of it and they were interested. And so very soon after we said, okay, let's play music together, we had like to come up with like a big plan. And we're just like, oh, okay, all right, all right. So I took my little what I call my little book of talented musicians that are also my friends. So
Like the digital
and I was
version of
just
like a, black book.
yeah. And I was just like, okay, so who do you think who should I contact because I know this guy is my friend, blah blah blah. That'd be cool. And only the singer was the big question mark. And the label suggested Mark from Dragonforce, and I was like, yeah, easy enough. He's my friend. Obviously, we've worked together, so that's cool. That'd be nice. So that was the original plan, and we started to write music with that in the back of our heads, but not necessarily working the music around his voice, if you know what I mean. And while I was in Japan, finalizing the songs, the 21 days. We were just the more material we were writing, the more I was like, I don't think this is gonna work with Mark's voice. Actually, we were just talking, thinking about how, well, not thinking about it too much, but just the more material we were working on, the more I was like, oh, we need something, a bit more aggressive, manly, powerful, and then one night I was like, hey, that dude Archie, yes, of course. And I just sent him a text message and I said, hey, look, Archie, I'm in I'm in Tokyo and I'm working on this band and I think your voice could really really work with what we're doing. So would you be interested? Would you like to give it a shot? And he replied straight away, and the next day he had like made a small try out whatever it's called on the song "Bringing Me Down," and we just looked at each other with Saki and just like, that's it, that's the missing piece of the puzzle that we had. We were just now everything made total sense, and we just like the it just gave a different color to the entire album, and that was really cool. So that's really how it happened
That's
so
really
easily.
cool because when I focus on looking at band members and obviously for a band like AMAHIRU, pretty much all the members have been in a lot of bands that people know.
Mhm.
And so Archie was kind of the unknown to me where I'm like, well, he doesn't have the parentheses of like been in XYZ band. So I'm like, who is this
Mhm.
guy? Because he's got such a great, like a rock voice. You could imagine hearing something like ours on the radio. Obviously, the climate's different and radio isn't as big anymore, but if it was like 10, 15 years ago, it would easily be a radio single.
Yeah, well, I mean that's basically, I don't know how to push, I can only promote the our music as much as I can, but I would love to hear that song on radio because I do believe it has the potential, and a lot of it has to do not only with my amazing songwriting abilities, none of it, but not really. Just kidding. It's really just his voice is just like, you can't really fake a voice. It's just like either you have it or you don't. And I know very well because I would love to sing. It's just my voice is crap, and that's it. There's nothing I can do about it, or I can just like try to put it through, add a chorus and a flanger and blah blah. But and I mean, Archie is just like naturally gifted. He's got like a very very strong, powerful, pleasant and versatile voice. Can a voice be versatile? Oh, he's versatile in his singing. I don't know. Whatever.
No, I think you could have a versatile range, be able to go up and
Right. Right.
down in pitch, but then he has a different approaches, right? Because there's the screaming that there's
Yeah.
hints of that, and then there's
Yeah.
the powerful singing that's the when the singing is just as powerful as the screaming, that's what draws me in, is that sometimes you find bands where if there's a little bit of screaming when they go to singing, you're like, whoa, the energy level just took a dive.
Yes, yes, exactly. The guy is like, oh no, 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 and then how are you doing? There's a lot of bands like that actually. No, no, he's definitely like has a very powerful voice, and also one of the thing I remember once we heard that "Bringing Me Down" song, Saki was like, oh, but also can he sing high? Because she only heard that thing, and she was like, can he sing like high pitch, because that's something that Japanese people have they like that, and I guess some of the songs that we had also required like that high pitched voice from time to time. And I just said, well, let's ask him, but I do believe he can, and indeed he can, which is great. So you can, you have a song like which one? What he sings pretty high? I think it's Vanguard on the album, and that one, yeah. I mean, it's just like he can do that, and still that's his voice. It's not just like uh, changing his voice. I mean, it stays the same all the time.
Yeah, I had to check the credits and make sure it was still him on some of those songs. I was like, wait, do they
Yeah,
have other guests I don't know about?
yeah. Apart from obviously, okay, on the song "Lucky Star,"
Yep,
that's
that one's
Elise from
obvious.
Amaranta. Yeah. It's not him, it could be, but no, but yeah, but the rest is definitely him, and I guess that's great. I guess is a really strong, element in the reason why the album is so good, in my opinion. It's just really because of Archie, and I'm glad that you're asking about him, because indeed some people just want to focus about the fact that Coen, because he plays in Epica, or Mike plays in Fear Factory and Raven, or me or Saki, but Archie is to me the real, the I don't know if it's the surprise, but like the strong element of the band.
That's how I was thinking about it too, because when you see, I hate to use the word like supergroup when everyone's been in a lot of bands that people know, but I really like when projects bring in somebody that isn't as well known on certain parts, because I feel like it
Yeah.
elevates them up and then people know them. Now I feel like people will know Archie, and it'll help when you guys are able to start touring again, because even if they come in because they know your name or they know Saki's name, I think those vocals will really sell it. It really puts it
Yeah.
over the top.
Yeah. I do agree. It's just the question is now, when are we going to be able to tour? And the answer is, I have no idea. But yes,
Have you been able to go back to Japan at all? Or I know they were so locked down that there was no foreign travel allowed in, I think, for a long time.
it's still the case. I think you have to go there. You cannot go there for leisure. You have to have a special like working visa, which I'm not gonna have right now because there's no real reason for me to go work there. So that would be just like pure pleasure and getting drunk in the streets of Tokyo. And
That's so
there's
fun
no
though.
visa. It is fun. I know. I mean, I would love to go to the embassy and like, okay, look, you do not understand how much I need that. I really need that visa. It would be like a D. The visas, they have a number like P for musicians or whatnot. It'd be nice to have like a D for drinking. A drinking visa. Just like, now look, I really need to go to Japan right now. You have no idea. But yeah, so no, I don't know. I've only been, like I said, I've been to Japan earlier this year to do those videos, and that was in February, March, right when things were starting actually. There was no toilet paper in Tokyo, I remember, but I was fine because I was in a hotel. So I
It's
remember
it's the
telling,
same everywhere. Everybody thinks toilet paper is like currency, right?
I mean, I'd never heard of that before. And I remember I was in Japan, and that's where it started. And I remember talking to my wife over the phone and going like, "Yeah, everything's fine. They're wearing masks, but that's nothing unusual. But for some reason, they don't have any toilet paper, and that thing didn't happen yet in Europe." So it was just like, okay, toilet paper, that's strange. And then, yeah, surely enough, a couple of weeks after, I'm back in Europe, and yeah, that big toilet paper thing happened. It's
Yeah,
strange.
I
I don't
didn't
know.
think it was gonna be anywhere near what it was, and the last show that I went to was Cult of Luna when they were touring around in the U.S., and that was back in February, and then every show after that got canceled, and now I'm thinking, wow, I really wish I hadn't skipped some of the shows I didn't make it
Yeah.
to. It's like now you're We went from having so many shows that you had to pick and choose in this area to now nothing, and you're like, this sucks.
I know, exactly the same. It's just like, oh well, yeah, I've seen enough. It's fine. I see them this summer because Hellfest is gonna happen in France, so I don't need to go and see them. And then you're like, oh my god. So yeah. I think the last show I saw was actually Nemophila, which is Saki's other band. I went to see them while I was in Japan, and that was it. Then I came back. Then I did a video with Creator. And then I came back home, and we were supposed to go on tour with Lamb of God and Power Trip around Europe, and then that got cancelled, and just like everything got cancelled or postponed, yeah, as it is for the moment. But yeah, strange.
Yeah. When you get back to touring, could you see AMAHIRU touring with like almost like the metal idol bands? So there's like Baby Metal and Necronomic Idol that do this kind of, it's very well orchestrated and it's still like a performance. I don't know if you're familiar with those bands.
Yes, yeah. I know very well of Baby Metal. In fact, yesterday I spent 12 hours reviewing all the songs for the Japanese metal Japanese magazine Young Guitar, because they know I've Baby Metal and Dragonforce been playing together and doing some collaboration and whatnot, and I've been a friend of the band and the girls and whatnot, so I'm very familiar with that. Yes, but I guess it's a different vibe than AMAHIRU, in the sense that it's really super well organized. When a Japanese band comes to town, it's just like, oh my god. I guess AMAHIRU, I don't know. I mean, it depends how it's gonna work, but I see it more like I mean, there's sure the label is from Japan, and Saki is from Japan, but the rest of the guys are just like from the US and Netherlands and UK and France. So I guess it won't be as big production and really, because I guess that's what you're talking about, right? The big, when Baby Metal comes in town and it's just like so many assistants and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's not even just metal fans. There's a lot of like anime fans in the crowd. Like I went and saw them, and it was just such a diverse crowd from what I'm used to, because I find that metal and rock really attract a certain audience, and Baby Metal was like, I don't know if half these people have been to a concert before. Like, this is cool.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were talking about the staff of the bands. No, the crowd. Yeah. You definitely have people that just like are into video games and animes and whatnot, and indeed they just like behave differently. I went to see Baby Metal actually earlier this year in January in Paris, and indeed some of the people in the crowd were just like, this is strange. Kind of reminded me when we did a show with Dragonforce for what was that? Video game convention in Germany. And you could tell that the crowd, why they were excited that we were playing, they had no idea how to move. So it was really fun. You just
Was
like,
that around when the Guitar Hero kind of stuff came around and Dragon Force got much bigger because of Guitar Hero?
no, although I mean, I'm not in the band anymore, but so I don't have to defend the band. But the band got big before Guitar Hero, at least because when we, I guess the peak was actually before Guitar Hero. Then Guitar Hero came, but we kind of got big before that for some reason.
Well,
I
true.
guess
I
it
guess I
did.
mean that outside of like people that are familiar with metal, because
Yeah,
I think all the people I know that never listen to that kind of stuff started hearing about it because of the video game.
because of yeah. But I guess it's yeah. Well, I'm just I'm so tired of that Guitar Hero discussion, because the truth is we saw that in terms of crowd and tendency and venues and whatnot. The big show was before Guitar Hero was out, and then we had Ultra Beat Down, and then we came back, but there was a more diverse crowd, but less than when Guitar Heroes was not out, because we lost a lot of diehard metal fans who were like, "Oh, you're in a video game now, so you're not true." So it was, pros and cons. But
It's
no, that
surprising you
show I'm
get
talking
that
about.
from melodic metal fans because I find that mostly in black metal and death metal.
Yeah, no. In metal in general, also in Germany, like some people just like, oh, you are the game band, so it is Nintendo, so it's not. So my accent sucks right now, but no, I speak fluent German actually, but for some reason I don't know, I'm tired today. But no, that show I'm talking about was a couple of years ago. So they because I remember they had some celebrities, and those were YouTube or Twitch celebrities, and they were just like, "Hey, let's meet Super Cola. He's really fun. He's a really famous guy." And it was just like, oh, those two worlds colliding together. It was strange, and the crowd was also really strange. They were like I said, really excited to see a metal band, but like not really sure how to behave. So it was a weird night. So yeah, I don't know what kind of people we're gonna attract with Amahiru, but I don't mind. I'd be happy if people come to the shows, and we will be very happy to perform. At this point right now, with the current situation, it'd be great just to play in front of one person. That'd be cool.
Yeah, do something. Is there
Yeah.
any possibility, would it be too complicated with where everybody lives to do like a streaming show because of different countries and that kind of thing?
Well, I'm gonna give you two answers. The first one, the pragmatic one is just like my internet connection is really shit. So that's one
That will
thing.
definitely limit it.
Because I moved, I just moved this year. My wife and I moved to the countryside. We bought a big house, so it's really nice, but the internet is just like, well, non-existent. So that would be a problem. And also, even if my connection was amazing, and I wish it was, um I guess I'm not sure. I mean, we have done a live stream kind of thing with Creator that was very well made. It was like through together with Vacan. And we were in a big studio, and they had those effects post production and whatnot, and the result looks really great, and we had fun doing it, but we all agreed that okay, it's not like the real thing. So it's fine for Creator, because I guess most people have seen them live before, and it's just like it was a nice gesture, together. Fans are happy, and it was an interesting experience for us. But for Amahiru, I I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, but I'd rather wait and start things correctly, rather than yeah, it's locked down, so let's try. To me, a live stream is nice, but it's not as good as the live, and I would really need the energy of the crowd and whatnot. So I don't know, but I'm saying that, and maybe we're gonna do it in 2 weeks, and you're gonna be like, oh, that guy has no
Yeah,
face,
he
and
didn't know what he was
yeah,
talking
he
about,
doesn't know
right?
what yeah, he has no idea. He's a fucking liar. No, I mean, it's really I don't think we I don't know. I don't see that. I'd rather do the real thing. That's
Yeah,
that's what I
I
mean.
I agree with you on that. Some of my coworkers have asked me about that because not all of them are as into music as I am, and they're like, "Well, couldn't you just watch it?" And I'm like, "It's not the same. You have people around you. You can see the look on people's faces as they connect with the
Yeah.
music, and the energy is just completely different. Like to take a room full of people that don't know each other, and then they're all focused on one thing, and you can tell that we're one almost. It's cool."
Yeah. So I mean, there's nothing wrong, because I've seen obviously a bunch of that on Instagram, Twitter. Like bands that are, I don't know, like Charlie Benante from Anthrax playing with Phil Demo from Violence, and it's cool. And I think, and it's fun, and I get that, and the fans, and it's cool, and but I don't know. I think, because, especially because we spent the 3 weeks together with Saki to make sure that everything was organic, and really, that the album, even though like people were like living in different countries, to make sure that everything was organic. It would be almost like doing that for nothing if we present ourselves in a sort of like a live stream, like a separated, like mounted together kind of thing. To me, would be like a sort of like, oh, we've done all that for nothing. I don't know. That's how I feel. But like I said, maybe in 2 weeks you will see a video and you think of that conversation and you'll be like, oh.
So when the whole band can get back together again, will you already almost have new material ready at that point, or just ideas that you want to get going for another album?
Like I said, right now I'm just, I've been working on Creator, and I'm also in Sinsane. I'm starting again. I do have ideas for Amahiru. Coen sent me some stuff a few weeks ago because the all the material was written by Saki and I. But I guess everybody had so much fun doing it that Coen was like, would you like if I was writing a few, song ideas and whatnot? I'm like, yeah, of course, yeah, definitely. So he sent me some stuff already, which I was like pleasantly surprised. I was just like, okay, that's cool. It's really into it, so that's nice. And I have a few ideas that are somewhere on my hard drive. So I guess yes, but also by the time we're gonna start touring again, I guess my priority will be Creator because we're working on an album. That album will be out, and then we will need to promote. It's like a much bigger machine than Amahiru. So I guess when we are able to do gigs again, I guess my priority will be Creator, and then Amahiru in between and whatnot. So it might take a while, but like I keep saying in interviews, I remember that I discovered Alice Cooper with the album Hey Stupid. So that was in what, 91, 92. And I love the album, and I was listening to it like, I don't know, every day, and just like destroyed the tape and whatnot. And I only saw him for the first time in 97. So it took me, depending on 91, 92, 5, 6 years to see him live, and I didn't die. So I guess what I'm saying is just like, if people have to wait a little bit to see us live and in good conditions, I'm sure they can survive. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
Very
it's
wise.
great that you're looking forward. It's one of those, and I think I'm a Hero probably wouldn't be one of those like album cycle kind of bands, right? Where because everybody's so busy in other bands, it's not one of those,
Yeah.
oh, there'll be a follow-up in 1 or 2 years guaranteed. It's one of those when you guys have the schedule, you'll come back together and things will just progress, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just imagine there's like three different continents. Just like you've got Europe, well, and UK, then you got Japan and US. So it's difficult. I guess what we agreed on is like you have I don't, I hate to use that word core members because, yeah, I don't. Anyway, I guess so. That band who's been presented as Saki and Fred project, but then also and that's what you see on the pictures, and that's fine because that's how it started. But then I don't think we could do any gigs without Archie. That'd be completely pointless to go like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just us, and who cares about who's singing? So Archie is just as important as us too. So we agreed that because everybody's very busy, I guess the three, Saki, Archie, and I, if we can manage to get together and find another drummer, a bass player, and maybe keep the Coen's keyboards on tape. That's something that we could do, because otherwise it was going to be very, 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 very difficult to have everybody ready at the same time, almost impossible. I remember how difficult it was for Sinsanum to make that happen. So yeah, so I guess what we definitely focus on, or will focus on when we do shows, is like to make sure that at least those three members, Saki, Archie, and I, are there, and then work things around. And I guess I think everybody's fine with it, so hopefully people will be too.
Yeah, and that's not
Hopefully,
that unusual. I think for,
no,
obviously when you swap vocalists on tour, that's when people kind of freak out and say, no, it's not the
yeah,
same. But
yeah,
I hate to say it because I mean everyone's talented, but I
yes,
think instrumental positions to some degree for like keyboards, drums, back, even like backing guitar, bass in some cases, you can swap those out on some tours and people can live up to the expectations.
yeah,
Even if somebody did such a great job on record, there's other
yeah.
talented musicians that are able to replicate that on stage.
Yeah, pretty much. And I totally agree with what you just said. And the fact is just like, Mike and Kun are clever and professional, so they understand that as well. So they're not just like, oh my God, you guys can't do anything. Like the videos that we done, you see Archie, Saki, and I, and because it's just like people were busy at the time, and we're just like that's how we presented the band anyway. So they were happy to work on the album, and I'm pretty sure they will work on the album number 2. But it's fine like that. It's like it's a moving thing. It's a band. I consider this a band and not a project, because to me, it has something negative when people say project as opposed to a band. So it's an entity or whatever. But I guess it's evolving that way, and I guess that's cool. I don't see that as a problem, and I hope people won't either.
Yeah, I hope so as well. And like you said, I think project also implies that it's like that's it, right? You do 1 or 2 albums and then that's it. But you're clearly
Yeah.
trying to grow it as more than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like I put as much dedication into this as in Creator or Sinsanum or Dragonforce when I was in it. So it's just once it's labeled, I guess it just like goes in people's head, that the project side. Oh, okay, so it's not as important as a band, but really, it's just really a word. So yeah, it doesn't matter. I know at least for us, it's just as important as the other bands that we are in. So.
Yeah, that's great. I think to kind of wrap things up, I'll ask you something a little bit more fun. Do you have a favorite anime or video game given kind of your interest in Japan?
Well, I've got a few. I don't know. I mean, I've got tattoos on my leg, which are dedicated to one anime called Doctor Slump. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Ah, you're going way back
Doctor.
on that one.
Oh yeah, Doctor Slump, Arare-chan, and whatnot. So I have tattoos of that because I really like it. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I thought, to as far as having funny tattoos on the leg, I think that was the best choice. I don't know. I mean, I grew up, watching Hokuto no Ken, Fist of the North Star, Saint Seiya, Dragon Ball, so Space Adventure, Cobra.
That makes
Those. So
perfect
that's
sense. I remember hearing a lot of those being popular in France.
Yeah, they were there. I mean, they were extremely popular, extremely, which is all my generation, people my age are fascinated by Japan. Definitely has something to do with that, and also video games, which were getting, that second wave of, video games. I mean, after the Atari, but like the NES, Nintendo, and Master System, and then Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, PC Engine, which I guess you had in the US as well.
It was called
Turbo
TurboGrafx
Graphics.
and nobody
Yes,
bought it.
and you guys suck because it was the best one. But no one really knows it, outside of Japan and France possibly because they had like a distributor and it's my favorite console. I
I want to
really
get
love
one
it.
now. They have the new like mini version that they put out.
Yeah, yeah. I got it. I remember I did order it on Amazon like a year prior because you could like pre-order. So and it took a while to come because of the COVID. So it was like postponed. I was like, oh my God, come on, maybe the worst. But with that being said, obviously I have an emulator on my computer because I own the cartridge. But no, yeah, but I've got the emulator and it does the job as well. But yeah, I've got. So my favorite video game though would be either Symphony of the Night, which
That's a good choice.
yeah, I love because I love the music, and I was lucky enough to meet Michiru Yamane. That's the lady who wrote the music for Symphony of the Night. Also, she did Twin Bee back then. She did also Lament of Innocence and many cool things. And I was really, really just like nervous when I met her, like more nervous than when I met. I have no idea. I don't know, Duff McKagan or I don't. I was really just like, oh my God, Michiru Yamane. Oh my God, Symphony of the Night. The music is really amazing, and the game is amazing. Like for those who are not familiar, well, it's a Metrovania. I mean, it's the first Metrovania game, I suppose, because it's a Castlevania game, but kind of like Super Metroid. And yeah, I love Symphony of the Night, and also a game called Black Tiger on arcade from Capcom from 87, 86, I believe. In Japan, it's called Black Dragon, but it's a Black Tiger. And I used to love that game when I was a kid, and I still love it. So you can check it out. It's a great game.
Awesome. Well, thanks for doing the interview. Thanks for the extra time today. I appreciate
Yeah, no worries.
getting to talk about Japan and AMAHIRU, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you very much.